Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you to everybody who's continued to watch, it's really amazing. Today this video is about canning my homemade tomato spaghetti sauce, ready to put on the shelf for the winter. I had a little bit left over, so I should demonstrate how to freeze that. I use mainly cherry tomatoes, so to peel and skin them and get the pips out, you end up with no tomatoes left at all. So this recipe will show you how to use the whole tomato with zero waste. And also I had sweet corn I had to sort out. I had so much, couldn't eat it all, so I've cooked it all up and I will show you how to put it in the freezer again to eat in the winter. I've had such an abundance of tomatoes this year. These are the ones out of the freezer and some I picked fresh today. I'm beginning to run out of room in the freezer of everything I'm putting in there, and also room in the fridge. So obviously I've got some corn that I want to get in the freezer, so I've taken the tomatoes out. So I've got some, I'm going to be making spaghetti sauce, like bolognese, tomato bolognese sauce. I've got some onions and garlic. Garlic is optional. Onions again as much as you like. I've got a pepper that needed using up, some mushrooms that definitely need using up, and some courgettes I'm going to put in to bulk out the sauce. So I'm going to slice up the onions and the garlic and put them in the pan cooking. Then I shall add in the courgettes and the tomatoes to get it off to, and the mushrooms, probably the mushrooms first, to get it off to a good start, and then put it all over into the slow cooker. I'm going to let that simmer away for 5 minutes just to help it release the flavours. Then I would just literally put in all the courgettes and the tomatoes and give it a stir around. So that's our mix all in. It is on full at the moment. I shall keep an eye on it, but probably keep it on full for about 5 to 10 minutes. Let it cook down a bit, otherwise I won't get it all in the slow cooker. I'm going to leave the lid off so that water can evaporate, because there will be a lot of water in there in the tomatoes and the courgettes. My tomato sauce is definitely getting there, it's reducing down now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a masher just to mash down some of these tomatoes so they release the juice a bit more. What I shall probably do in a minute is strain it through. I know that sounds strange. Get some of the water out, or some of the juice out, and rapid boil that down to condense it. The other thing I'm going to do is add a good shake of sugar. Obviously you don't want it too acidic because of all the tomatoes, so just a bit of just a bit of sugar. All the salts and stuff I shall adjust tomorrow. Sugars, salts, pepper, once I know what flavour I've got after it's cooked down. You could have roasted the tomatoes and that off in the oven first. That would have taken out some of the moisture. I've got quite a lot in the pan here. A lot of that's from the courgettes, I expect, as well. So I'm just going to boil that down and then add it back in tomorrow if needed. If not, I shall freeze it for soups. So I'm just going to put the lid back on, and I've got it on low, and I shall stir it later on tonight before I go to bed, but I'm basically going to leave it till morning, so that's 12 hours or whatever. This is our sauce mix the following morning. I've let it cool for a couple of hours. I used the stick blender to get it down as far as I could, but it obviously left a lot of pips and skin. So I have strained it all down through a sieve and use some of the liquid from last night to put into the blender to get it down to a smooth puree. I've done it in 2 lots and I'm adding it back into the pan. I'm going to put it on a low heat and warm it back through, because I'm going to adjust the seasoning and add some more little bits to it. So my sauce is warming through. It's a little bit sour and obviously needs some more sugar, but I'm going to add some more salt. All this is to your own personal taste. I'm going to add another teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to add, sorry, that was a dessert spoon of garlic powder, but like I say, it was to your own taste anyway. I'm going to add half a dessert spoon of paprika, another spoonful of mixed herbs. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice in it now, but I will be adding citric acid before I can it. Nice amount of pepper and some Worcester sauce. Ooh, no. Love Worcester sauce. And then couple of spoonfuls of sugar. It's got a few grains left in it from the seeds, but when you eat it, it'll be in with the meat or the vegetables, whatever and you really won't notice it. You could strain it through again if you want a completely smooth sauce. And turn that off and let that sit for 5 minutes and check the flavour again then. So that's been sitting for about 5 minutes while I tidied up. It does taste a little bit tart, so I'm going to add some baking soda. You would normally add 1/4 teaspoon of soda to 1 pint of sauce, but it's not too bad, so I'm just going to start with a level teaspoon because I've got quite a big pot here. I'm also going to add a little bit more sugar and a little bit more Worcester sauce. Using the zero waste mindset of using the skins and pips, that's what will make it slightly more tart than normal. Oh, that's so much better. Gonna do the same again and level teaspoon. See it bubbling away. You just need to get it to a flavour that you like before you can it. It's very difficult to give an exact recipe for something like this because everybody's tomatoes taste different. And of course everybody's tastes are different, so some people like garlic, some people don't, that sort of thing. I think that will be about perfect. That's nice. So I've still got some liquid left, so I will strain that down and use that for a soup. I've got everything ready to can my sauce. I've heated my sauce through. I've got my Kilner jars, the ones I found on Sports Direct, 6 for £6, absolute bargain. So I'm using some of those today. They're in the canner warming up. Put that back on again. I turned it off because I didn't want it too hot. So we heat the jars so that they don't get thermal shock when you put the hot sauce in. So I'm going to add, these are not quite a pint, they're 375 mils. The ratio for citric acid is 1/4 teaspoon per pint, so I'm just going to put in just a little under that, and I'm just going to put it directly into the bottom of each jar and fill it up, leaving 1/2 inch headspace. You can water bathe if you want to, you don't have to pressure can, and then you just debubble that. Just make sure there's no air locks in there so you get the right levels, that's all it is. We're going to wipe around the rim and the lid with some white vinegar. Pop the lid on, and these ones are finger tight. And straight into the canner. Right, that's all our jars in. Going to pop the lid on. And we're going to wait for the steam to come out of there, then turn it down a little bit, make sure steam keeps coming out of there, and let it vent. They call it venting for 10 minutes before we put our gauge on. So I've got 7 cans of tomato sauce in the pressure canner. but I had a little bit left and I'm going to freeze that. So if you're freezing anything like a sauce or a liquid, you always want to leave at least sort of like an inch, inch and a half at the top, because it will expand when it freezes. So you just literally will put the lid on, mark it up, wait for it to cool right down, and then we'll put it straight in the freezer like that. I think you should be able to see the steam, constant steam coming out. It's only on very low now. Just waiting for the timer to go off, and then I shall put the gauge on, turn it up until he jiggles, and then turn him down so that we keep that as a constant little jiggle. And then we're going to process for 20 minutes. If you're at sea level, it's a 10-pound weight. You would need to check where you are and what weight gauge you need, and also processing times do alter as well. If it's pint jars, it's 20 minutes. If it's litre jars, it's 25 minutes. These are just under a pint, so I'm going to do it for 20 minutes. So it's taken about 3 or 4 minutes, but you can see he's just starting to jiggle. So that's where we want it. So I'm just going to turn him down. So that he stays like that all the time. The good thing about these pressure cookers is if they build up too much pressure, this lifts up and lets out a load of steam. So as long as you've got water in it, you know, you shouldn't really have an issue with them. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes, and once the timer goes off, I'm just going to turn the gas or the electric off totally and let it stand for at least 10 minutes before I touch it. And I shall, after the 10 minutes, just give that a little wiggle, and if any steam, like a hissing sound or steam comes out, I would just leave it for another 10 minutes. You just want to let it come down to pressure naturally. So it's been off for about a quarter of an hour. That wiggles, no steamy noise, so I'm going to just undo him. All looking good in there, so I'm going to leave that another 10 minutes just to settle down, and then I'm going to use my lifters to get it out. So I'm just carefully going to lift these out. I've already heard some of them popping down already, which is a great sign, and I should just leave them in place for 12 to 24 hours before I take the lids off, and then they'll be ready to go on the pantry shelf. The way to test them to make sure they've sealed is once they're cool, once you take the ring off, you should be able to pick it up by the little top metal piece. This is how to cook and prepare sweet corn to put in the freezer or the fridge for any time eating. So it doesn't matter whether you grow your own or whether you've bought some from the shop while they're on special offer in season. Whichever way suits you is fine. So I've got some boiling salted water in the pan, and we're just going to put them all in. And just going to return that to the boil and cook for 12 minutes. So the timer's just gone off, that's the sweet corn all cooked. I'm going to strain it into the sink. I'm going to put the camera down while I do that. Strain it into the sink and run some cold water over it. You can put it after that into an ice bath, but I don't have any ice, so I'm just going to carry on putting some cold water on it. I'm going to leave it slightly warm because I want to put some butter in the packs before I vacuum pack. So I'm just going to cool this down quickly. What it does is it stops the cooking process so that it doesn't cook anymore. We're going to have a couple of bits for tea tonight, and the rest I shall vacuum pack. There, so they are still warm and they'll be hot inside still, but like I say, I'm going to put them in a bowl with some butter so that melts on it before I put them in the bags. I actually just use a cheap spread from Aldi, an olive spread rather than butter. We don't actually have butter in the house anymore. But that's just more out of choice. And again, this step is optional. You don't have to do this. But I just like it so that when I take it out of the freezer and defrost it, I've just got to, I can just pierce the bag and reheat it for sort of 3 minutes. And it'll be already buttered. So I'm going to put the lid on and just leave that for a minute. Taking the lid off after a couple of minutes, the spread's all melted into them and some of it's down the bottom, but I can add that to the bag if I want to later. But I'm just going to leave those to cool to room temperature. My tomato sauce is definitely getting there, it's reducing down now, but I've got enough time to vacuum seal these sweet corns that I cooked. So they are just very, very slightly warm, hardly anything now. So you can either vacuum pack them or you can use a Ziploc bag. If you're going to use a Ziploc bag, the easiest way to get a lot of the oxygen out is to zip it right up to the edge there, put a straw in and then suck through the straw to get the air out. Obviously squeeze out as much as you can first, and then put the straw in and suck out the rest, and then quickly as you take that out press the sides flat. But I've got a vacuum sealer and they do keep the fruit and vegetables, whatever you've got in them, a lot better. Than they don't get as many ice crystals on them. Oh, that's the wrong one. So you can either from here put it in the fridge for 4 or 5 days or into the freezer. So I'm going to put mine straight into the freezer. I've got a compartment that's empty, so I'm going to put him in there. So that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, found it helpful and informative. If you did, please give it the old thumbs up and a like and subscribe. Thank you, till next time, bye.